everyone. My name is Kevin once again. I'm from DX5, the only Gen Z with 4 years of experience at DX5. And I hope we can have an engaging session. I highly encourage the crowd to also be involved and to follow us through. So the topic today mainly is big data. And I'd like to engage my panelists, maybe starting from Benjamin. What was your first interaction with big data in the insurance industry?
Well, thanks for the question, and it's a delight to be with you this morning, just to share some ideas on big data and insurance. Well, my interaction with big data in risk management has been diverse, ranging from how we can support our clients and how we can grow the insurance industry. Of course, we know that the uptake of insurance in Kenya has not been that great, given that the knowledge of insurance is not that big. And there's also a lot of data out there that can be used to accurately determine what is the risk that you're covering. Ranging from inclusive insurance, which is really taking off in the recent times. Of course, we have smallholder farmers, we have herders which are being insured, and even smart farming, which is really making use of big data in risk measurement and, of course, increasing the outreach of insurance uptake in the country.
Of course. What about you, Rugia? What was your first interaction with big data?
Thank you very much. Let me say also, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes. Interaction with data was quite early in life, but big data is where I think the interest comes in.
Yeah.
So it's I think I'd say in my undergrad, we dealt with the course that I was doing basically dealt with handling data and also coming up with projects that are using a lot of data mostly in medical and also finance, because those are the data sets that you usually find mostly out there. And the interest for me, maybe what I can say is that it's not that the process of data analytics was very interesting for me. I think the driving force for this was actually to be able to make decisions faster and also make decisions accurately. So I think that's what drove me basically into that field. And on the process, when you look at the emerging techs that are coming up around us, you find that they're actually making things quite easier in terms of analytics, also in terms of developing things here and there. So now that's where the things now become a bit exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to talk more about that. So I'll leave that for another moment.
Sure. Julius, in your presentation earlier, you've also talked about all these other technologies that you've incorporated at Jubilee. But maybe we could focus on what you've done with big data at Jubilee so far.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's on.
Okay, hello. Okay, good. Thank you. Now, when you talk of insurance companies, we have a lot of data. Now, back in 2018, 2017, we were very profitable. I think we had, in the health sector, we had around 800 million in terms of profits, which is, we were the only profitable insurance company in the health side. Then come 2018, we actually, in the first 2 quarters, we made losses. Okay. Can you imagine if you made 800 million and then in the first 2 quarters, you are negative around 120 million. And so at that time, I was assigned the task to go and look at the health business, because I was at the group as head of strategy, to go to the health business and look at what exactly was ailing the health business. It happened that at that time, we then had started a project on how we can get real-time claims from service providers in a detailed way. Previously, we used to capture claims. If it's pharmacy, we just write pharmacy and it's 5,000. Consultation is 2,000. I don't have to indicate which particular details of pharmacy you got. But then now we started getting those particular claims detailed in terms of pharmacy. How many Panadols were you given? What is the price of Panadols? Argumentings, which drug were you, which disease were you suffering? Which tests were done? And so that was the first time that actually we were able to see the value of data. What did we see? In a month, we had more than around 2 million worth of Panadols being given to patients. 2 million Panadols. Okay. And the prices varied.
Yeah.
Okay. And the quantities also varied. And then we go to, drugs like Augmentin. The quantities varied for the same disease. For the same person, the quantities varied, the price varied. We had drugs like Augmentin in one facility is going for 1,300 Kenya shillings. In another facility is going for 180 shillings. That's huge difference. So then that's when we said, there's something here we need to look at. I think that's the first time we developed interest in data.
Yeah, and you saw that this data could actually help you streamline the prices of the panel and make sure that the customer gets the
exactly. And therein we actually started a project we called the pharmacy agenda. Okay, the pharmacy agenda, and by the end of the year we made profits. We were able to save a lot in terms of pharmacy, just focusing on pharmacy. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So clearly you've mentioned that in insurance there is a lot of data in insurance, and looking at how we might use this data to improve the insurance sector in Africa. Talking to Dr. Otieno, from a risk and compliance perspective, how can we then leverage on this big data to prevent and to predict and even prevent risk from happening?
Well, of course, it's there's an industry survey that was done some time back, and it was stated that 40% of the cost of claims goes to fraud. Now, if you think about it, it means that that 40% has to be paid for by someone, and that is the person who is taking up the insurance. Now, if we were to reduce that fraud, that means that the person taking up the insurance would pay less. Now, there is a lot that we can do with the big data in reducing fraud, the trends of fraud. For example, motor and health insurance, there's a lot of fraud that happens there. What Julius has just said on how varied the cost of medicine is, the cost of the treatment in hospitals is. You'll go to one service provider, you get a very different cost from the other service provider. The same thing for motor. You'll get a lot of fraud happening in motor, and there's a lot of opportunity in using big data in detecting trends in fraud, and in so doing, accurately pricing motor insurance, for example, and even medical insurance. You don't have to have a one-size-fits-all. I don't have to pay 4% on my motor vehicle, and you're also paying 4%. It can be varied depending on the prevalence of fraud, which can be detected from big data.
Okay, so and what about now? Because you say it doesn't have to. We don't have to pay the same amount of insurance for motor insurance, but what can you talk about the use of telematics? Julius, you mentioned about telematics also in the presentation before, to look at to predict now the risk and see the value of the risk. Say in motor vehicle insurance, for instance, look at the driving habits and see how likely are we going to have an accident? How likely are we going to have to reimburse?
Exactly. You see, there are two concepts here. There is pay as you drive, and then there is pay how you drive. Of course, pay as you drive is how many kilometers you're driving, and then you pay for those kilometers. that has an element of exposure. If you're driving longer distance, there is a likelihood that you'll meet an accident than if you're driving shorter distance. That's pay as you drive. Pay how you drive is the driving habits that you have. If you're this kind of person who does sharp cornering, sharp braking, hard accelerations, of course, your risk exposure is different from someone who does a different kind of driving. And all that can be factored in the pricing in the form of telematics. And so that is one aspect of the use of big data in insurance, motor insurance pricing.
Okay. Now to Rugia. Looking at how we've predicted risk and have prevented risk, and you using this big data, and then how, as an insurance company, can you develop products based on the data that you have and the data that you've analyzed, and you've seen that these are the trends that are currently in the market, and with also keeping in mind that you now have a better knowledge of what your customer needs?
That's a very good question, because Kenya Insurance Corporation, the company that I work with, is actually a reinsurer of insurance companies. Julius is our customer. I'm sitting there in the panel. Julius is my customer or my client. You see, we've been at a position where we've seen companies really struggle a lot with some classes like motor, medical, agriculture. Those ones actually, we call them perennial loss-making classes of business. And as Kenya Re, we've been working closely with a regulator of insurance, and also some of the organizations that have been formed around there. I'm coming back to the question. I've not diverted. I've not lost track. Just trying to find a landing space of how we develop new products. But the thing is, it's not very good to see a company actually go under because of poor underwriting processes, or a process that actually is not able to. One of the main challenges is actually scoping the risk accurately. And this is where the data comes in, because we have a lot of data that is picked throughout the industry. So what we've done as a corporation that is reputable in our markets that we've chosen, that is Kenya and Middle East and Asia, is that we partner with insurtechs. Okay. We also partner with insurance companies, because we have to bring the insurance companies as our users to see what are these challenges that they are experiencing. And then we do a lot of capacity building in terms of underwriting processes and all that, working together also with the College of Insurance and all that. But now coming back to the real thing, how do we use big data to develop products? I would want to give a practical example for our members to be able to see how this happens. We look at 3 main loss-making classes, that is motor, agriculture, and medical. We cannot talk about development of products without looking at what is actually driving us to do that. And one of the main reasons we want to do this is customer service, because we really want to offer good customer. You don't want to be at a point where you get to paying claims and the claims are not payable because some information was not used, or some information is not available, or some processes are not followed. So one is customer service. So how do we do this? Yes, we have the data, but what can we use to develop the products? That's where now the tech comes in, the insurtech comes in, because we look at the technologies that are emerging to develop new products. And these products, like I mentioned, are supposed actually to offer accurate customer service, okay, in terms of managing the risk. As my fellow panelist has talked about, it's about risk management. So one, in motor, we can talk about telematics. Okay? Telematics has been one technology that is very good in terms of, I've seen this happening a lot in commercial vehicles. Private guys feel like their privacy is being infringed. So
the DCI.
Yeah. So they don't want to be tracked. But the commercial players, like the trucks ferrying goods within the region, all the way East Africa to the commercial region and all that, they are really big on telematics because this is where you're able to get the data in real time to know the driver's behavior, the vehicle that it's been driven, and you find that you can accurately develop a product. Even a transit bond is one of the products you can actually do in that space that is a bit accurate in terms of what is being protected, and you can do that. Coming to agriculture, I know organizations like One Acre Fund is working with farmers. A lot of data is being collected. And what do we do in this? This is where we put in the AI. Artificial intelligence is able to process terabytes of data within a very short time. And you can actually be able to accurately, smart farming comes in, a lot of data collected there. Yeah. You can use AI in that space to come up with products because the essence of product development is actually to accurately scope the risk and also be accurately able to compensate the customer that you're actually covering. The other class I mentioned is medical. Right now, we are in a place where AI is actually even doing operations. We have, when it comes to covering, if you have an artificial limb, what premium should I put to that? Yeah. If you're a musician, we have even cases of people actually even having artificial, you can have so many artificial things within yourself that it's actually predicting that in a few years to come, you may not be able to differentiate a real human being and a humanoid. But that brings challenges for insurance companies. How do we start using the data that we have and the tech that we have? Drones right now, you can use drones to scope catastrophic disasters and all that without actually having people go around. If you want to insure a building like this one, traditionally you have to get somebody to walk around the entire building to supervise whether there are any cracks, things like that. But right now you can use drones. You don't have to send humans to do that if it's spaces like that. So emerging techs plays a big role in development of new products, and products are no longer blanket products. You want to make the product specific to the customer. This is a topic you can speak the whole day, but allow me to stop at that point.
Yeah, sure. And so from what I've gathered, and actually this is something that has been in talks in the insurance industry for a while, the sectors that you mentioned, motor, there's medical, there's agriculture, and people are looking at these sectors. You've said that they are loss-making. Perennial loss-making sector. And we have insurance in the room. Do you agree with these perennial loss-making sectors in insurance? Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get your views on that. So, Julius, and I've seen your budget, your technology budget, and you're the only guy who said that you have $1 million budget. So, how then do you ensure that the products that you are offering are not loss-making? I know, Jubilee, you are in these sectors, you are in motor, you are in health. What are the products that you've developed and how did you come to that?
I mean, there is a lot. Let me go maybe to the life side and then I can come to the health side.
Yeah.
We have got this age between, when someone joins university up to the time they finish university. And a number of them, when they go out there, you realize that they spend 9 months, even up to 1 year before they can get a job.
Yeah.
And after that, they don't even like insurance because it becomes something they're not interested in because they've never tested it, they've never known what to do. So because of the demographics, the data from outside, we developed a product called Baada ya Kambo. So it's Baada ya Kambo.
Yeah.
You contribute a little bit. The time you finish from university, you can get a ransom or you can start earning some small money every month till you get a job. Just using data, right? Do you know about it? So we have it. It's called Baada ya Kambo. The other products that we also have, it's available in Uganda. In Uganda, there's a culture where every person must go for a wedding and must have a wedding, and the weddings are regarded as everything. You can't say you are married if there's no wedding. And so people have to go around, fundraise, and even to know the venues. So we develop a product in Uganda that is for, you've contributed towards your wedding. And so contribute for 3-4 years. Yeah. After that, we finance your wedding. And it's a product that is leading in Uganda as we speak. On the health side, we looked at a number of areas that we had gaps. When we looked at data, we had a lot of 80% of the mothers who were giving birth through cesarean sections. Okay, it's very expensive. It's not healthy for the mother. Okay, and then with them now, what we did is, because we needed to change. It's the opposite of the US, by the way. So US, it's 20% will go for CS, 80% will go for normal deliveries. And we are a third world country. So then how do we change the culture? So we created a program that caters for mothers. It's called Jubilee Moms Club. So if you are a customer, or if you are not a customer, you are encouraged to join and attend, so that we change the culture, the behaviors.
Yeah.
And we've seen through that a drop in the number of cesareans that are coming up. Because then we show you good living, how to take care of yourself when you're pregnant, what kind of food you need to eat, what kind of facilities you need to go, what kind of doctor do you need to see in trimester 1, trimester 2, and all that. You see, then it leads you to live a better lifestyle, and you get away from that. Then we also looked at the usage of branded versus generic drugs. Again, the ratio is 80% of Kenyans consume branded drugs versus 20% who go for generics. And they are all the same. The way it works is, today, if I'm a patent owner, I'll go and I get a patent. I produce that drug for 20 years. After 20 years, I give my formulary to everyone who wants to use it. And that formulary is what we call generics. So it's actually the same. And now I can call that drug any name I need. So it's the same chemical ingredients and all that. But then it's very costly. Branded, it's costly by more than, sometimes even 400%. Okay, so we have a program where some of the people take some of the products, consume first level is generics before they go to branded drugs. So we have a product which actually the first level is generics, and then before you go to generics, and it's more than 50% cheaper than the normal drugs that products that you go for. Then we went ahead, and also in telematics, we had a huge number of rise of cases of chronic ailments. So every year we had an increase of chronic cases of between 20 and 30%. And now when we look at those particular cases and the age sets, we actually notice that we can manage these kind of cases if these people were enrolled into what you call a lifestyle management program. So we started in Maisha Fiti, where immediately you come on board, you can enroll as a member or as a non-member. Then when you go through that program, we're able to manage your cases. And even if you are sick, we give you drug delivery programs. We give you free consultations. You're able to see consultants. And this is a program that we have because of the data that we had. There are several cases that I can talk about. I think the list is endless. Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you. And just to involve the crowd, maybe we can give you, what do you envision for the future of big data in insurance? We've talked about how data is crucial, and the data that is collected by these insurance companies, and the loss-making departments as well. I think I saw a few hands, people who agree that the health, motor vehicle, and agriculture it's quite hard to go around it and make sure that you get value for money. So maybe do you have anyone who has anything to say about it? And is that a hand? Okay. Or a question? Well, do we have insurers in the room? maybe I should ask that.
Is the question?
Oh, okay.
Thanks so much. My name is Isaiah. I'm seated in the corner here, so
Yeah.
don't worry if you are not able to see me, as long as you can see glasses, because I'm melanin enriched. So a question in there. So let me start with Julius. I love the innovation that is actually going on at Jubilee. My first question is, if you look at it from an angle of, even if you were to do a survey here and ask people between inpatient and outpatient, which one do they really prefer? You'll find a number of them will be like, I need outpatient, because most of the things, you'd find a small number would actually get admitted. Is there an option, or maybe just something to think about, where a customer can come in and choose? I need outpatient, or I just need inpatient, or I need both? Because right now you're forcing us with both. Then number two, when you talk about big data, and here I'm looking at a situation where when I go for consultation using cash, I pay 500 shillings. So let's say I pay 1,000 bob. But when I go using a card, where I'm supposed to pay 1,000 bob, I'm paying 2,000. If you look at that return on capital, or maybe let's say that even if you were to take it from a bank, that is like double. Have you guys ever thought about maybe another way of making it cheaper? Because if an hospital will charge you 2,000 for consultation, and when I get there, I pay 1,000 cash, but now because I'm paying through insurance, it is 2,000. Then there must be something in there to think about financing also to bring cheaper. Then the last one is more about as policy holders, you need to reward us.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You need to reward us. Because there's no way, remember, if there's a way we can be motivated, especially I know majority of us here, we have covers given to us by our companies.
Yeah.
If there could be a motivation that if you don't claim anything in the course of the year, because I know there are guys who are who are single, they don't claim. But a guy with kids, every weekend there's a claim. If there's a way you can motivate that guy who is single, who doesn't have so many claims, maybe you give him maybe 50% or maybe 10%, then it would actually bring down that kind of thing. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Do I maybe let me just thank you. Very nice questions. Let me start with the last one in terms of rewards. We actually, for our individual customers, we reward them in terms of money cashback, which comes as a discount when you renew your policies. So we have got that program in Jubilee. Now the program even extends to how active you are. When we enroll on our program in MyShafiti, it's a mobile app that you can actually download right now. You don't have to be a member of Jubilee. The number of steps you cover, if you achieve a particular target consistently, you earn points. Now, those points, you can use them in a number of our outlets that we have signed up, which gives us a very good offers. For example, you can use those points to pay for gym facilities, to buy for your health kind of, shoes and all that kind of stuff. So we all outlets. We even have discounts we get with some hotels, up to 30% if you are going for your holiday, because it's mental health, right? So we've got those kind of rewards you get by being active. By just, measuring, going your steps. And so we have got that particular program, okay, within Jubilee. When we talk of consultation, it's something that we are trying to solve with service providers. You see, health insurance, by the time the claim is coming in from the service provider, they have to load it because there's the loss of credit, the cost of credit. So that's why they load it. But some service providers now are giving us some good offers, which is almost equivalent to cash paying. So it's an area we are trying to solve, including even we are working on how we can create a wallet for you. So when you spend, the money is paid to the service provider immediately, then that loss of credit is not a cost to all of us. So it's something we're working on. On whether you can select OP and IP, now there are particular rules which we also follow, is our reinsurer. So if you look at the rules here, is to spread the risk, you must also have carried in the IP bit. Okay. But then we are also going around it where we have created programs like what we call capitation programs. So where you come in and say, I want to put in 30,000, okay, and I can have a limitless outpatient. So that one becomes a product which we are also working on, where you can only buy just an outpatient product. And if you see, we have decoupled our offerings. I talked about things we never used to cover, like mental health. If you went to any of the facilities, mental health was not covered. And it's one of the biggest challenge we have. Now we have a product which covers your mental health. At just 3,000 shillings, you're covered. You can go and see a psychiatrist. You can, get all the care you need. And even monthly, you can call a psychiatrist and talk to that or a counselor. So that's something we are doing to make sure that healthcare is available to people. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Dick Mayaka. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Eden Care Proactive. We are an insurtech startup in Kenya. I'm very inspired by the strides that you're making in the industry. And my question goes to you, Julius, again. So you've been able to make some cutting edge changes in the industry, and specifically when you talk about how you are able to address the issue with the pharmacy and bring the numbers down, you make it sound easy, probably because here I'm seeing a scenario where you've used data and made a difference in real life. Maybe you can talk a bit about that journey. What were the challenges? Were the pharmacies just willing to let you eat into their margins? How did you, what are some of the things that you did to get that done? And maybe you can talk a bit, not just on pharmacy, but basically help us understand where you have translated the data you've received into a solution that now adds value not just to Jubilee, but also to the client. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe we could also take her question and then we wind up at that.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. My name is Mnyindo Tairo, and I'm the founder of Larisk Africa. It's a virtual insurance agency. And I'm really grateful for this conversation from all the panelists, very, very eye-opening. And I actually put down some questions that I want all the view of all the panelists, right?
Okay.
So, the question is, what are the ethical challenges that arise when the insurers or the insurtechs use big data to predict consumer behavior or even in marketing? Because I'm trying to think about, you have so much of our information, so much of our data. So what exactly, or how do you navigate the fine print between, using personalized marketing and, creating of these products and intrusive surveillance of now the consumers? Yeah. So I'd like to know the ethical aspect of everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think we will handle that question as a parting shot because it's directed to all of us. So maybe you can start with you, Julius.
Good. I can start with Bwana Mayaka.
Yeah.
We had challenges, but they say that if you want to climb a mountain, you slice it slowly by the side, right? So I do some hiking once in a while. So this is what we did. We went and looked at the top 100 drugs that we use that are used extensively in our book in terms of cost. Top 100 drugs. And then compared their prices across the top 20 providers, which actually cover 70% of our claims. Okay. And so it's, then we were able to benchmark what is the trade price. There's a guideline that is there, that the retail price should not go beyond 35% of the trade price. So and so we went to the distributors. So if we know augmentin is being sold to the end user, to the hospitals at 100 shillings, for example, then the markup should not go beyond 35. So there's a guideline. Okay. And we looked at who were off the mark. Then we had one-on-one engagements with them. Your drug for your augmentin pack goes for 1,300. Here is how you measure with your peers. The same guys who are in the same category. This is your tier 3 hospital. Your drug is going for this, but your peers are selling this drug at this particular price. And we are also beyond the recommended price. Okay. And so they were able to look at it and also give us the challenges. Some of the challenges they had, some of them, they had challenges with outsourcing. Where do they get their drugs from? So we worked with them to also identify who should be their right distributors, who can give them good discounts. Okay, so that then they can also extend that discount not just to me, but also to the other insurance companies. So it was that kind of effort we made as Jubilee, because we knew if we made profits, then the next year premiums will go lower, the customers will benefit from that. We also had cases where, the pharmacies, where we had to start what we do, we call re-education of pharmacies, where we have agreements, we look at the kind of pharmacy you have, what are the facilities you have, and then once we rank you, then we know that you are a category 1 and these are the prices you need to. Then within our contract, we embedded those kind of contracts. And so that's why we were able to manage all that. It was not a walk in the park, but again, for those ones who were not willing to sign up contracts, they also saw the aspect of, how do I add you into the panel? Today, I've got this big group of customer, the big customer is coming on board, and they want to have you as a service provider in their panel, and you don't agree to my rates, then I need to also tell you that I'm not going to put you in the panel. So they are going to lose also the other revenues. So on one side, there's a balancing act you have to make, and it's a carrot and a stick. Okay, so that's how we went around doing that. To Mwenda, on the ethical challenges, in terms of handling personalized kind of targeting, one of the things we have done is consent. So once you come in, you consent to data processing, you also consent to marketing. So if you don't consent to marketing, then I don't market to you, because then it becomes unethical. I may have the data, but then if I don't approach you, remember, you are in a category, a class of people, this particular age, this gender, you live in a particular area, your income is this. So I can use that one to target those ones who have agreed to be marketed. So you still form a subset. It's just that I can't market to you. But then it's good data that I can use to market people of an equal kind of grouping. It's a clustering. So that's how we actually handle that kind of ethical challenges. There are others like private data. We don't share private information even to the third parties. It's encrypted. So, and that's one of the things which even data from the service providers, part of it is also not available to us. The very sensitive information is not shared with us. So we use the data sets that we receive. And by the way, we can also work backwards. So, for example, if we got particular drugs dispensed, I know the disease and the diagnosis has been given, I can work backwards and also deduce what kind of tests were conducted. Because, again, I may be billed on particular reagents, for example. So I know what kind of tests were done. And so backwards, I can know that this particular provider likes doing a full blood count compared to this particular provider. So that's how we go about it. Thank you.
Samuel, how will you handle ethical challenges?
Yeah, I think that's a quite good question, and it's actually touches on ESG, planet, people, and profit, sustainability. It's actually ethical issues that have put out most of these businesses, and I would want to answer it in terms of data, because in data it involves collection and protection of data. So first, the ethical issue in terms of data collection is accuracy of the data, because it's the same data that we use to accurately scope your risk, especially in motor. Motor has been serious problem because the data coming in is not really equivalent to what actually is happening on the ground, and ends up putting some premiums and covers that are actually not commensurate to what actually is happening. So the main ethical issue of data collection is the accuracy of the data. The second one is protection. That now once you collect the data, the protection of that data, you've seen what the DPO is doing at the moment. People actually get penalized. People actually got literally confused on what do we do with personal data, because personal data can also be classified as sensitive data. Nowadays, you don't even say whether you're married or not. You don't even as you introduce yourself, you don't even talk about, because now you start realizing there is private information. So I think those are ethical issues that actually become serious challenges. In telematics, Julius can tell us, the guys who pioneered telematics like Liberty, Britam, and the others get challenges with the private guys because I don't want to be tracked. So that's the aspect of data protection. So I think as I tried to farm up on the question, that's a seriously good question. And for all of us as insurtechs, insurers, reinsurers, you cannot move forward without talking about ESG. Okay, so it's an area that it's quite big, and it's actually putting most businesses out of business. Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, Dr. Otieno.
Yes, just to weigh in, I guess most of us are familiar with the Data Protection Act. I think it's Section 34 of that Act disallows exclusively using automated methods to make a decision. And so the reason why we do not allow exclusive use of automated methods to make a decision, such as an underwriting decision, risk pricing, determining what premium to pay, is because of the possibility of bias. Now, bias is a very big ethical issue when you're using automated methods in terms of big data and all that.
Yeah.
Now, in some jurisdictions, when you cannot confirm explainability or auditability of your methods, then you're disallowed from using those methods. For example, in our telematics product, one of the criteria we had to consider was explainability of the numbers that you're seeing. So you don't just say that you have driven badly. How badly is badly? What do you mean by sharp cornering? How far should you penalize me for sharp braking? What are the measures? So they are very dicey issues. But if you can explain what is in that black box, we don't just want some figures being spewed out from the black box. Those are fundamental ethical issues that we have to consider when you're dealing with AI and big data.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Otieno. I think we'll have to wind it up there. Thank you very much for your time, Julius, Samuel, and Dr. Otieno. I think there's the request for a photograph, so we can have that. Thank you very much.